If you've been stuck staring at your PS5 library, not knowing what to play next, this list is probably gonna help. These are the single-player games that people finish and immediately start recommending to everyone else. Some for the story, some for the gameplay, and some because they're just ridiculously good the whole way through. So let's get into it. A Plague Tale Requiem is one of those games that's really good, especially on the PS5.
Come on. Come.
At first, you think you're getting another stealth adventure with rats and medieval chaos. But then, the game just keeps getting bigger, darker, and way more intense the longer it goes on. Amicia and Hugo go through absolute hell in this sequel, and the game does a great job making every situation spiral into complete disaster. You're slipping through enemy territory, improvising tools as you go, creating distractions, and doing your best to avoid getting overwhelmed. The rat sequences especially are completely insane here. There are moments where entire environments basically turn into a nightmare. But honestly, what truly sets this game apart is its incredible atmosphere. The environments are stunning, the music elevates countless moments, and the story drives forward without ever wasting your time.
To enjoy a normal life.
You're great! Yeah!
But for a recurrent dream that Hugo has been having of a mysterious island that calls him.
These look like teeth. It's a two-teeth island.
Resident Evil Requiem is basically Capcom reminding everybody they still know exactly how to make survival horror work. At this point, they just understand survival horror better than almost anybody else. What's interesting is how differently both characters play. Grace's sections are slower and way more survival horror focused. You're conserving resources, solving puzzles, hiding from monsters, and trying not to panic every time something crashes through a wall nearby. Leon's side leans harder into combat with bigger fights, heavier weapons, and more aggressive encounters. So the game constantly shifts between fear and action, without losing the Resident Evil identity. Capcom still knows how to build tension better than almost anyone else in the industry right now.
Maybe we can save her.
Now at number 13, Red Dead Redemption 2.
You need some extra guns?
Yeah, why not? Micah, Kieran, anyone strange turns up, you kill them. Rest of you, let's ride. Okay, let's go get that boy back.
Yeah, technically this started life on previous gen hardware, but at this point, it's still one of the absolute best games you can play on PS5. This is Rockstar doing a giant open-world western, but more importantly, it's the story of Arthur Morgan and the Vanderlinde gang trying to survive during a time where outlaws are slowly becoming a dying breed. The gang keeps chasing money, freedom, and that one perfect plan that's supposed to fix everything. And watching all of that slowly unravel is what makes the story so damn good without needing to spoil anything. But honestly, the biggest flex here is just the world itself. Rockstar built a world that constantly surprises you. You can head into town to sell supplies and somehow end up in a bar fight, a robbery, a random stranger encounter, or getting chased halfway across the map because you made one bad decision. Next at number 12, Dead Space Remake. This is one of those remakes that actually understands why people love the original in the first place. You're playing as Isaac Clarke, an engineer sent to investigate a massive mining ship that has gone horribly wrong. What starts as a repair job quickly turns into fighting for survival through dark hallways packed with mutated nightmare creatures called necromorphs. The setup is classic sci-fi horror, but the way this game builds tension still absolutely delivers. What really makes Dead Space impressive is how oppressive everything is. Combat has its own unique style. It's not just about landing headshots. You're carefully slicing off limbs from monsters that just won't quit. making every encounter exciting even after hours of gameplay. If you're looking for survival horror on PS5, this is an easy recommendation. Final Fantasy XVI takes the series in a way more heavy fantasy direction. You're thrown into a world full of rival kingdoms, giant summoned beings called icons, and a conflict that just keeps getting bigger the further you get in. The story follows Clive Rosfield, and without going into spoilers, this feels way more personal than people probably expect at first. A lot of it is built around revenge, loss, and watching Clive deal with everything happening around him. This one leaned much harder into real-time action combat. Everything happens in real time, so fights feel fast, aggressive, and way more action-heavy than older Final Fantasy games. You're constantly mixing abilities together, dodging attacks at the last second, landing counters, and pulling off huge combo chains, while the screen absolutely explodes with effects.
Be a monster. Clive. I have to stop him! I have to save them!
I made a promise to my friends.
For 13 years, he tortured me. He's gonna pay for what he made me become. My name is Kyle Crane. And finally, I'm out.
Dying Light: The Beast feels like the devs are going back to what made the original Dying Light work so well. Kyle Crane is back, and after years of experiments and captivity, he's definitely not in great shape. Without getting too deep into spoilers, the story throws him into a new survival situation where revenge, infected horrors, and some pretty questionable new abilities all get mixed together. But the real selling point here is just how fun it feels to move around and survive in this world. Parkour is still a huge part of the experience. You're running across rooftops, climbing buildings, and escaping infected mobs at the last second. But combat feels heavier now too. You're tearing through enemies with brutal melee weapons, using firearms, and sometimes tapping into powers that make Kyle way more dangerous than before. Pragmata. After 6 years of delays and countless speculation about what this game was supposed to be, Capcom has finally released a pretty unique sci-fi adventure. The story follows Hugh Williams, a space traveler stranded inside a lunar research station, alongside Diana, a childlike android who quickly becomes way more important than she first seems. Together, they're trying to survive a collapsing moon facility controlled by a hostile AI system, and the relationship between these two characters ends up carrying a big part of the story. Gameplay also does something a little different here. Combat isn't just about shooting robots until they fall over. Hugh handles the weapons, while Diana hacks enemies in real time to expose weak points and shut down defenses. So fights become this mix of third-person action and quick multitasking.
I'm gonna get a better look.
Hello, we are Cabin, your one-stop companion for all things shelter.
Cronos the New Dawn. If you've been looking for another solid sci-fi survival horror game after stuff like Dead Space, this one absolutely deserves attention.
You almost fried that. Good thing I was around. Traveler.
The game drops you into a brutal future where humanity has been devastated by a catastrophe known as the Change. You play as the Traveler, working for a mysterious organization and diving back into 1980s Poland through time rifts to recover people connected to the disaster, which already gives the whole story a pretty unusual hook before things starts getting intense. What makes Cronos really good is the survival horror design. Resources matter, combat can punish mistakes fast, and enemies don't just go down and stay down. If you don't deal with bodies properly, creatures can actually merge together and turn into stronger nightmare versions of themselves, which adds a constant layer of pressure to encounters. Control is Remedy's take on one of the weirdest and most stylish supernatural action games in years. And if you missed it the first time around, it's definitely worth checking out.
You called me.
You play as Jessie Faden, a woman searching for answers about her past who ends up inside the Federal Bureau of Control, a secret government agency dealing with paranormal disasters, reality-warping objects, and things that absolutely should not exist. Jessie isn't just running around shooting enemies. You're ripping concrete out of walls, throwing office furniture across rooms, levitating through fights, and chaining psychic abilities together in ways that make combat look completely insane in the best way possible. The service weapon is also great because it changes forms depending on how you want to play. The constant sense of mystery makes Control incredibly hard to put down once you get pulled into its world. Yakuza Kiwami 3 brings back Kazuma Kiryu during a rare moment where he's actually trying to live peacefully. Running an orphanage in Okinawa and staying away from Yakuza business. Naturally, that doesn't last. Crime conflicts, power struggles, and old problems start pulling him right back in. It's classic Yakuza storytelling with serious drama, emotional moments, and plenty of chaos. What makes this collection cool is the contrast between the two experiences. Kiwami 3 balances emotional story moments, street fights, ridiculous side content, and all the weird charm this series is known for. One minute, you're dealing with heavy crime drama. The next, you're caught up in karaoke, side missions, or helping random strangers with bizarre problems. Dark Ties takes a rougher, more intense approach with a different combat style and a story that leans harder into ambition, loyalty, and self-destruction. Next at number 5. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined.
Arca.
Let's go and investigate.
And the vibrant flaming festival of Emberdale, where the locals toss fire back into the core of the volcano. There's lots more to discover, but that's for another day, my friends. See you on our next adventure into this
This is Square Enix bringing back one of the series' biggest classic adventures with a modern upgrade, while still keeping that old-school RPG feel. The story starts with a mystery around vanished lands and forgotten civilizations, then slowly opens up into a much bigger journey across different places and time periods. And this really isn't a game that rushes from one big moment to the next. It takes its time with the world, the characters, and all the smaller stories connected to each area you visit. Gameplay sticks to classic turn-based combat, deep progression, and lots of room to mess around with party setups and classes. But honestly, a big part of Dragon Quest's appeal is everything happening between the major battles. Helping towns, running into weird situations, and seeing different little stories unfold becomes just as important as taking down bosses. God of War Ragnarok throws Kratos and Atreus right back into chaos, and the game barely wastes a second before things start getting bigger and heavier. Ragnarok is coming, tensions keep building, and the story constantly pushes both characters into situations that really test them. The father-son relationship is still the heart of everything, but now the world around them feels way larger and more intense. And honestly, the combat still feels so good. The Leviathan Axe and Blades of Chaos are just insanely satisfying to use. Fights get crazier as the game goes on, and the boss battles have a ton of scale and energy behind them. On top of that, the game looks incredible. The environments are packed with detail, and some of the mythology moments genuinely feel massive in the best way possible. It's easily one of the strongest games you can play on PS5.
Sometimes it's the only way to protect the ones we love.
I know you. God Killer. What is it you want from me? Is it a god of war you came to find?
If the first Subnautica game played on your fear of deep water, Subnautica 2 takes it even further with an entirely new alien ocean world and an exciting fresh survival setup. You're a pioneer sent to an unfamiliar planet where, unsurprisingly, things go wrong fast. Strange ecosystems, mysterious signals, and something clearly not adding up beneath the surface start pulling you deeper into the world's secrets without giving away too much too early. But honestly, Subnautica has always been about survival through exploration. You're gathering resources, building bases, crafting equipment, and slowly pushing farther into places that look beautiful right up until they become terrifying. The underwater atmosphere still does a ton of heavy lifting here. Huge creatures, dark depths, and that constant feeling that you're entering areas you probably shouldn't be in.
It's all right. Pick the most interesting thing you can see and explore. Wouldn't that set you free? And I know where this mission will end. You'll join us soon enough.
Digimon Storytime Stranger. This is easily one of the best Digimon RPGs in a long time. You play as an agent investigating strange incidents in Tokyo, only for things to spiral into a much bigger mystery involving world-level disasters, time jumps, and the connection between the human world and the digital world. It's got that classic Digimon mix of sci-fi weirdness, mystery, and surprisingly ambitious storytelling. Of course, the real hook is building your Digimon team. You're collecting, training, evolving, and constantly tweaking your lineup through turn-based battles that actually give you plenty of room for strategy. There are a ton of Digimon to mess with, deep progression systems, and enough customization to completely eat up your free time. If you like monster RPGs with big party-building options, this one absolutely delivers.
Seek comrades willing to face destiny beside you. The time of the world's end draws near. When all the clock's lamps are lit, the truth shall be revealed. A story about the natural laws of the world is about to begin.
And finally, at number 1, Ghost of Tsushima. This game absolutely nails the samurai fantasy. You play as Jin Sakai during the Mongol invasion of Tsushima, trying to defend his homeland while slowly getting pushed away from traditional samurai honor toward harsher methods that might actually win the war. The story stays focused, personal, and does a really good job balancing war drama, character moments, and that internal struggle. The gameplay is simply very satisfying. Sword combat is sharp, fast, and rewarding once you start switching stances and adapting to different enemy types. Exploration stays clean too, with the game guiding you through wind, landmarks, and environmental cues instead of flooding your screen with markers. It boasts some of the best presentation on PlayStation, and it's easy to see why Ghost of Tsushima still ranks near the top of so many PS5 lists.
When the wind thrashes their tents and boats, they know he is coming.